He is Jalen Rose. I'm David Jacoby. We are Jalen and Jacoby. What is it that we do, Jalen?
We give the people what they want.
We have some new information about the return of NBA basketball in Orlando. We have a full health and safety protocol document, over 100 pages, that we will break down in detail. However, there are two reasons that could keep NBA players from going to Orlando in the bubble. One, of course, is the coronavirus and the health and safety. The other is the current Black Lives Matter movement, fight for equality. So let's address the second one, because we will get to the health and safety protocol in a second. There's a coalition of players. Avery Bradley is one of them. Kyrie Irving is among them. And that what they have said that their priorities are the following: improved hiring practices for front office, donations to organizations serving black communities, and more owner donations to causes that promote racial equality and justice. Now, Jalen, we know there is a deadline to commit to going to the bubble by June 24th. Do you think the NBA will do enough between now and June 24th to address those priorities from the coalition?
I think what they're going to do is agree to do enough in order for it to happen by the 24th. And by the way, do not be surprised, media and fans, when players just decide not to go, whether it's COVID-19, whether it's the social unrest, whether they're just uncomfortable with the fact that their team really doesn't have a legit chance to make the playoffs or win the championship, and they don't want to put themselves in harm's way. Every time this topic comes up, the first thing we point to is the money. And I want to tell everybody something. Freedom fighters like Muhammad Ali, they took stands regardless of the money. Today's athlete gets paid more than ever. The coalition of NBA basketball players is the most powerful black men in sports when they're pulling in the same direction. Along with entertainment, arguably the most successful and financially secure group of people in the United States of America. So if you have a chance to make change, this is your leverage. Make sure you're clear, make sure you're distinct, make sure that the league is listening, and find ways to accomplish your agenda.
I think this is a really important time for the NBA, because June 24th is going to come up sooner than you think. And everything they have in place in terms of testing and the travel and logistics and the hotels, we will get into all of that. But I'm glad what they've done is addressed. Here's what the NBA can do for this movement. Here's what we want from the NBA. Change in the front office, donations made to places that serve the black community. I think those are things that they have to do. Like, you have forced the NBA to coalesce to these, I won't call them demands, but their priorities. And I think they absolutely will before June 24th to make players more comfortable to commit to going down to Orlando. Now, that is the sort of the movement part of it. There's also the health and safety protocol, and we've got a lot of details to go over. So many that we have a very special Keep It Moving. So, Jalen, I'm going to tell you some details from this over 100-page document. And then you are going to decide whether or not we discuss them. The first one is they have detailed what happens if there's a positive test result amongst a player. Keep it moving or
hit the brakes on this one.
If a player gets a positive test, no matter who they are, they must isolate away from the team hotel for 14 days, then pass a cardiac test and able to return to play. 14 days, Jalen. What do you think?
I think that's like an injury. I think that's like somebody going on IR. You understand that things are going to happen where players may miss games, may miss practices. This is a unique scenario in the NBA where you're returning during a pandemic. There will be multiple people that test positive. I understand this, and don't be surprised if it affects playoff series and or who wins the championship.
Oh, I think it absolutely will. Next up, we know what happens if someone leaves the bubble. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Oh, hit the brakes on this one. Hit the brakes on this one.
You leave the bubble, you will have to be in quarantine for 4 to 10 days, depending on your reason for leaving. So I got some questions about this. What reason is 4 days and what reason is 10 days?
Well, I'll tell you the reason for 4 days, especially guys that are single. Because you're in your room, you're going from the room to the bar, to the pool, you rinse, you repeat, and you're able to have recreational activities and things are you're just enjoying yourself. And all the time, then all of a sudden FaceTime isn't enough. You need to see the person that you're talking to in person. You're willing to break quarantine in order to make this happen.
I believe that they will give you the 4-day quarantine if you leave for something very serious, a family emergency or whatever. But what you're describing sounds to me like a 10-day quarantine. Moving on, we also know that hotels were assigned based on regular season record. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Nobody cares where the team stand. They got money. They can stay wherever they want.
We know what amenities the players will be receiving. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
We know they're going to have first class everything. They're going to eat good, concierge, 24/7 massages, pedicures, be able to get their hair cut, get fresh, keep it moving.
We keep it moving. We keep it moving.
They will be able to attend games that they will not be playing in. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
Hit the brakes on this one.
This is absolutely exciting for me. Because we always get the crowd cutaways, but now we get cutaways of players that could potentially be the next round matchup. How does this change the dynamic of playing the game without fans, knowing that opposing teams are watching?
Get ready for the visual. This is like AAU back in the day. A lot of slides and socks, a lot of shorts, a lot of shirts around the waist, a lot of sweaters over the shoulder because the air is cool inside, a lot of people staring at their phones during the game, acting like they're not interested, a lot of players falling out laughing when somebody gets shook or somebody gets dunked on. So,
a ton of this. Get used to this. Get used to a lot of this in the stands. They'll be wearing masks, but not because they're worried about COVID. They'll be wearing masks because they don't want you to read their lips when they're talking trash about the other teams. Next, we have this, Jalen Rose. There is a hotline that players can anonymously call to report other players that have violated the code. Who's calling the hotline? And the number's going to get out, and civilians are going to start calling this hotline. What do you think about the hotline where players can, for lack of a better term, snitch on each other?
Just so you guys that saw The Last Dance and think Michael Jordan got sick in Utah, that's the only time that happened. It's not true. Things happen on the road. People call hotel rooms. People pull fire alarms. They do whatever they can to make sure that your squad is distracted. And I'll tell you something. I would be a guy that if I'm going against an opponent,
say it.
I would call a hotline even if it wasn't true. If that's all it took to get them in trouble, to get them suspended. You know what? I just saw LeBron. He's 15 minutes away from the quarantine right now. He need to miss Game 7.
Definitely. I can't wait for the hijinks with that one. Next, something I know is very important to you and all NBA players. We have details about the haircut situation. Keep it moving or hit the brakes.
The brakes.
All right. Manis and petties, all right, I don't care about. But the haircuts. Who is going to be the barbers? Who is going to staff this? The same person does the fades, does the braids. I have so many follow-up questions about how the haircuts happen. Jalen, as a senior hairline analyst of the world, how do you think the haircuts will happen?
So first off, just think about this, Jacoby. If I was going to play 8 basketball games, how many haircuts would I get?
8. That'd be 8. Yeah.
If I was going to play a 7-game series, how many haircuts would I get?
Probably 10.
So based on that math, this is the window for people to sneak in roadkill. This is the avenue. Here it is right here. My barber coming to give me a cut.
No, I think there's going to be. I don't think they'll be able to select the barber. I don't think they will be able to select their own barber and fly them in. I really feel like this is going to be like a Disney staff barber. That's what it's going to be. Everyone's going to have to go to the same. It's going to be like a sub 75-year-old Russian dude who's just going to be like, wait, what do you want? Kawhi, I'm sorry. You want me to give you cornrows?
NBA players are not David Jacoby. They're usually loyal to their barbers and not using all of the same person. That there is going to end up being a disaster.
I would love
same barber?
I would absolutely
love it if
some plane came in from Atlanta and it's like, oh, these are our barbers. These are our barbers. It's like, well, they're all
let me tell you something.
Attractive young women.
Jason Tatum ain't letting nobody else cut his hair, so he might be out. It's going to be interesting to see. That's one. Him and Paul George, I'm watching them already. I'm watching.
I cannot wait for the NBA playoffs. And I also can't wait to tell you about what Lamar Jackson said about last year's. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen Rose, do you remember that run that the Ravens were on at the end of the season, led by the MVP Lamar Jackson, only to lose to the Titans and Derrick Henry in the playoffs? Well, Jalen, Lamar Jackson said that he and the Ravens underestimated the Titans, who had just beaten Belichick and Brady. How do you underestimate a playoff team in the NFL?
Because usually a team isn't led by their bell cow 3-down running back that's rushing for over 175 yards in 3 consecutive games. That just doesn't happen in today's NFL. The other thing, you're not used to seeing your defense get run on like the Ravens were. And finally, Lamar didn't play like an MVP that game. I want to give the Titans all of the credit. They got it done. And so the matchup that you're looking forward to in the AFC and possibly in the AFC Championship moving forward will be featuring Jackson and Mahomes a lot. Hopefully Deshaun Watson can find a way to get him some help to replace DeAndre Hopkins. But at either rate, they'll have many chances to play against one another, but I want to bow down and pay homage to the Titans because they outplayed expectations.
Yes, they certainly played well. They were hot in the playoffs until they ran into the Chiefs. But I want to say this. If Deshaun Watson's going to inject himself into this Mahomes-Jackson conversation, he might have to find himself some help in a different uniform. Moving on. Dr. Fauci. His star has risen in the last 6 months. We all love Anthony Fauci. And Dr. Anthony Fauci warned that baseball should not play into the fall. However, I was thinking about this. Wait a second. They don't touch each other when they play baseball. And the NFL doesn't just play into the fall. They play into the fall, into deep into the winter. Now, Jalen, how much is this warning from Fauci a concern that we will have a seriously stunted NFL season this year?
It's going to be a stunted NFL season, so I want everybody to be aware. There are going to be times where your favorite player at a skilled position just isn't going to be able to go because they tested positive for COVID-19. But the league is going to go on because, A, they're scheduling games, and B, you want to try to get as much money and opportunity in as possible to make the regular season legitimate so you can ultimately get to a playoff and get to a Super Bowl. That's the ultimate goal. So do not be surprised if and when there are interruptions. And I listen to Dr. Fauci. I just wish powerful people in different positions would talk to him within the last couple of weeks. I would listen to him when he said, don't do large gatherings, especially indoors. And sporting events aren't going to have crowds. But other crowds are happening this weekend. I'm just saying.
Dr. Fauci, by the way, is a great point guard and has game. Moving on. After the events of yesterday, Mike Gundy apologized. Let's listen to head coach of Oklahoma State.
I want to apologize to all members of our team, former players, and their families for the pain and discomfort that has been caused over the last 2 days.
I'm not mad at the apologies. Just like Dabo when he had on the shirt that said football matters. These are intelligent adults in leadership positions that make their careers, in theory, off the backs of their players who happen to be black. You have to have more of a pulse of the people that you coach and lead. And so I appreciate the apologies, but at least don't have them written in a prompter. How about that, Jacoby?
You could tell he was reading. You could definitely tell he was reading. I mean, he said all the right things, but I didn't feel him when he said it. And the same thing for the video between him and Chuba yesterday. It's like you're saying the right things, but it doesn't hit. It doesn't feel like
the player really apologizing. The player was apologizing for tweeting, and the coach reads a written apology. That's only for recruiting. That wasn't real.
When we come back, I will tell you. Well, I will be. Welcome back to Jalen and Jacoby. Jalen, huge scientific breakthrough news. No, not a COVID-19 vaccine, but scientists say they'll be able to bring back living dinosaurs within 5 years. So in 5 years, there will be living, breathing dinosaurs on this planet. You can have a Lamborghini. You can have a Bugatti. I will be commuting to work on a pterodactyl. I will be on a pterodactyl commuting to work every single day. I cannot wait until we are amongst the dinosaurs once again. Thank you so much for tuning in to Jalen Jacoby. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast. Up next is Levitard and Friends.